The FBI has fired several agents who were photographed kneeling during a 2020 racial justice protest in the nation's capital. The agents were initially reassigned, but sources say the Bureau has since terminated them. We're talking about possibly 20 employees. These photos taken during demonstrations following George Floyd's death showed those FBI agents taking a knee, a move that some inside the Bureau criticized, though others viewed as a de-escalation tactic amid nationwide unrest. A shocking development out of Iowa, where federal immigration agents have arrested the superintendent of the state's largest school district. U.S. immigration officials say Des Moines school superintendent Ian Roberts was in the country illegally and lacked work authorization. ICE agents tried to arrest him, they say, during a traffic stop on Friday. He allegedly fled into the woods. With help from state troopers, Roberts was later found and taken into custody. He's now being held in jail. Unclear if he has an attorney. Jimmy Kimmel Live is back on the air after a week-long blackout. Nexstar and Sinclair pulled the show on September 17th after Kimmel made some remarks about conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who recently passed away. ABC also suspended Kimmel following pressure from the Trump-appointed FCC chair. Now, the show has now returned to Nexstar's 28 and Sinclair's 38 local markets nationwide. Developments from the Department of Justice this morning in what appears to be an investigation into Fulton County's district attorney. The New York Times reporting the DOJ has issued a subpoena for records connected to Fani Willis. This all comes a week after a ruling officially took her off the election interference case involving the president and 18 others. And Good Day's Lindsay Tuman breaking down all the details for us this morning. Good morning to you, Lindsay.
Good morning to you, Caitlin. Yeah, this story has certainly taken a number of twists and turns, not just over the last week, but months and even really years. But yes, the last week is when we saw that new ruling come down from the Georgia Supreme Court, deciding not to hear an appeal from the district attorney in order to stay on that election interference case, which she was initially removed from by a lower court back in December. But now we're seeing the Department of Justice take part in this, and President Trump is also weighing in. So according to the New York Times, the grand jury subpoena is requesting travel records of when they believe Willis was abroad last fall. At the time, Willis would have been prosecuting the president and 18 co-defendants in that 2020 election RICO case until she was removed in December of last year by that lower court due to a romantic relationship with then special prosecutor Nathan Wade. Again, last week, the Georgia Supreme Court declining her appeal to stay on the case, but it's not clear if this most recent action from the Department of Justice means Willis is the target of an inquiry or if she could face any charges. But President Trump made it clear how he feels about her removal from the case.
What Fani Willis did to innocent people, patriots that love our country, by indicting them, destroying them, she should be put in jail.
And the president also posted on the social media website Truth Social at the time, talking about Willis and others, saying she's a criminal and calling for consequences. Now, the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia has not assigned a new prosecutor, special prosecutor, to that elections interference case at this time. And we also have reached out to the district attorney's office and a spokesperson for her asking for comment about this most recent action from the Department of Justice. As soon as we hear an update on that, of course, we'll keep you updated as well. But for now, that's the very latest. Reporting live from Midtown, I'm Lindsay Tuman for Good Day Atlanta.
On top of those developments for us, thanks so much, Lindsay. And the subpoena comes just days after a federal grand jury indicted former FBI Director James Comey on 2 counts of making a false statement to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding. President Donald Trump is calling the indictment justice in America and is denying any political retribution. Comey says he's innocent, and Fox's Jackie Heinrich has more from the White House.
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. It's about justice. It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it.
President Trump says former FBI Director James Comey's indictment is not about political payback. It's a response to a precedent already set by Democrats.
Well, Rick, what they tried to do, right? They did it with me for 4 years. Before I came to office, I started hearing rumors about Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Nothing. And then it got worse and worse.
But Democrats are already promising consequences.
There will be accountability for the lawyers who are violating their oaths, whether it's in front of bar counsel, in the short run, or officer professional responsibility down the road when the Democrats come back in and can have legitimate investigations.
And accusing Trump of weaponizing the Justice Department.
Like, it's all crazy to me. It's crazy to me. These charges are going to be dismissed. James Comey will win in court. But what it reflects is a broader attack on the rule of law.
Trump says the prosecution shouldn't be a challenge for his handpicked U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, even though she's never before prosecuted a case.
We'll see, but it's a pretty easy case because, look, he lied. He could have said, well, maybe, or I don't remember. He didn't say that. He gave a very specific answer.
But there are reports the DOJ is not so sure the case is a slam dunk. Halligan's installment coming after Trump publicly berated Attorney General Pam Bondi for not moving faster to prosecute Comey, also urging prosecutions of New York Attorney General Letitia James and Democratic Senator Adam Schiff.
And that was Jackie Heinrich reporting there.